to tell us about what's in your book. And then at about 1:45, I'd like to throw it open to questions. I know we've got some very knowledgeable people in this group on the webinar, so I'd like to get their input. And also we have a guest who I'd like to give a few minutes to. My aim is to finish by 9:15, but if you want to carry on, I don't know if there's enough demand or questions or whatever, we can carry on a bit, but I want to make sure that to those people who want to finish around and then still get to hear all the crucial stuff. So, do you want to start talking a bit more about the mechanics of what you do and what you found work and the things you've tried that didn't work, whatever the evolutionary process was during this period of development?
Okay, do you want to take that, Mark?
Okay. I think what we found out was that what happens with EFT, we didn't find this out, we knew this, is that EFT comes in at a different level. It comes into your unconscious. Now your unconscious creates all your beliefs, because until the age of 6 you don't have a conscious mind, so you don't think logically. So experiences up until that age can create beliefs which the law of attraction and the part of your brain called the reticular activating system will bring in evidence to support those beliefs. So what EFT and matrix re-imprinting, which is an extension of EFT, does is actually get back into those memories, and they may have been buried away. You may not have thought about these things. You may not have that much relevance held to it at a conscious level, but at an unconscious level it could be a major influence. And I know that Ali won't mind me sharing, because it's in the book, that she had an incident when she was at the Highland Games where she got lost from her mother and went back and stayed by her car, which she thought was the right thing to do. An hour and a half later she was found, and her mother, who was in a state of panic by now, shouted at her, and she also got told off by her father at the same time. That created a belief that she wasn't good enough and attracted people into her life that supported that belief, and therefore she ended up marrying an alcoholic, and who took all the money that she was earning while she was also raising 5 children and spent it in the pub. So what we had to do was go back and change the beliefs associated with those, and it was literally a weight off her shoulders. And Ali says she's not quite recovered yet, because there's still some stuff associated with that, and stuff that's happening now that is still supporting that belief. So sometimes you have to go back and find lots of evidence to change the beliefs and literally take the emotions away from that, and that's what the tapping does. Like I said, it's like acupuncture, and that's what it helps to do. We combined that with some NLP techniques just to mix things up a little bit. There are some things that you can do with NLP where you can create nice emotions whenever you want to, so we used that. We did some things where we took things into the future to like I say, mix things up again. But one of the lessons
timelines were very helpful as well with that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. So no, that's exactly what it was. We were going into the future and saying, right, what do you want to become, and what do you what resources will you need, and how will you feel when you're there. So we were creating an image of what it was going to be like in the future. And it's very important at this point to say that this works really with people that are very positive about recovering. And what we have found is, looking on fibromyalgia sites on Facebook, in the such like the support groups, they tend to support each other through their misery almost, and that's something we really want to change. The NHS Choices site says, because it's based on sort of medical proof, that there's no cure for these diseases, but that's not to say that you can't do something about it to take control of your life, and there are plenty of people within the EFT and matrix world that are convinced that they are recovered and that they live normal lives. And Alison's getting to that point. She's had to adjust things a little bit. So we really want to put this out there to people that this is a road to help you with the recovery. It's not everything, as we've said before, but you can get yourself out of this if you have the right attitude and you want to help yourself. And that's why we're here, and that's what we're aiming to do, because it's a lonely place in fibromyalgia. And what comes back to us time and again is people saying that, well, my friends and family, they don't believe me. At best they think I'm lazy, and at worst they think I'm just putting all this on. So it's a lonely existence. It takes ages to get diagnosed, and then the financial things come into play. You have to give up work and live on benefits. There's associations with living on benefits. It doesn't feel right. You then start feeling that you're being punished for your choices you made in life, that somehow this illness is your fault, and all this adds up to often people sort of sinking into depression. And we want to get the message that there are alternatives, and I think there's a couple of people on this call that are already EFT practitioners that would be able to lend support to that, with possibly their own stories, no, not necessarily with having ME or fibromyalgia, but certainly dealing with people that have chronic pain and how they've helped them improve.
That's great, thank you for that. Well, I mean, it sounds like you've done a marvellous combination of some of the modern, I say modern, some of them, as you said, trace their way back to ancient practices of therapies and so forth, but also to combine these things to create the system. I don't know if you want to call it a system, but let's say the effective combination that you've evolved.
I think what we're trying to do, John, is we are combining Mark's EFT training, his matrix work, along with counselling as well, simply because I think as a practitioner, when we're working with individuals, we need to find out what is going on with these individuals personally, and what it is that is particularly affecting them at that time, apart from the illness. The illness is the symptoms of what's going on underneath. Now, I'm not saying that this is all psychosomatic, because that would annoy me if somebody told me that. But I think that a lot of it is triggered by stress and stress-related symptoms. So between us, we are running a series of 10 sessions that we try to make affordable, because we understand that people that are ill cannot possibly work and cannot afford to pay huge amounts of money finding a cure. So we're trying to make this affordable, because really in the long run we just want to help others get their lives back. So we run 10 sessions between us. We charge £36 a session. I run the counselling side of things, and Mark does the EFT side of things. We also combine a little bit of CBT, of working forward to help, and I'm hoping that that people will find this really, really helpful and be able to train themselves to move forward without having to fork out hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds to find a cure.
Yeah, that sounds like a very sensitive combination of things that you do with working with the individual to find out what the causes are. You said that originally what's going on with that individual, and presumably the individual's attitude will also be something you have to take into account about what they're willing
Yeah.
to do to change. And I mean,
there's also one thing. Sorry to interrupt.
no, please, yeah.
There's one thing that we talk about during our sessions, and we look at secondary gain to being ill as well, which when Mark first mentioned it to me, I thought was quite offensive because I thought, no way in hell do I want to be ill forever. But it's quite interesting actually when you go deep into it, because when you're ill for so long, you get all these negative sides that if you suddenly get better, then you can be damned in a sort of way. You can lose your benefits, you can lose sympathy, you can lose all sorts of things, whilst you're trying to get back into living a life. And because of that, you may, although you don't actually know it yourself, actually be holding on to your illness. So that's something else we look at, reasons behind maybe holding on to the illness and not moving forward. So,
well, yeah. Sorry, I was going to say that would have to be handled very sensitively.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's obviously we write about that in the book. There's a chapter in that in the book where Mark challenges me and kind of says, okay, what would happen if you were better tomorrow? Why are you, and I took offense, but actually when I thought about it, there were things that would be difficult. I wouldn't be able to, me personally, I was hiding, well, not so much hiding, but I just stopped going out. I stopped socializing. It was a great excuse not to have to go out with friends anymore. And I hid behind the illness, and I wasn't doing myself any favors at all. But until I saw it and recognized what I was doing, that Mark pointed out, or allowed me to discover, should I say, I didn't move forward with that. And of course, moving forward with that changed me. All of a sudden, I've been invited to go on holiday, and and my life's starting to open up again. And yeah, it's good. It's good.
Right. So we'll come back to the book, and some time ago you mentioned that you'd kept a journal throughout your time, and is that what the book is based on?
Yes, it is. Yeah. The book itself was based. It started off writing when I first got ill, and I didn't understand it at all. And you can read it. The book is written throughout the illness.
Right.
So you see as I progress, so it's not written after the fact. It's written from when I'm literally in the depths of despair, and then you see as I travel forward how things change, how my thought process change, how I physically get better slowly. So it's a very good indicator of how my journey went and what I struggled with and what I dealt with to be able to move forward. And it also talks about practical stuff as well, because don't forget that sometimes this illness, simple things like maybe going swimming, or taking notes of how many steps you can do in a day, actually doing practical stuff as well is really important, because that gives you a sense of achievement when you can do these things. And that's all positive. So it's all about doing the positive and keeping a note of it and moving forward slowly without killing yourself, obviously.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry to take you back to the early part, but what fascinates me is what you had been writing when you were experiencing the symptoms in the early days and not having a clue what was wrong with you. Is that recorded in the journal and the book?
Well, if you want to give me 1 second, I'll get the book and I'll read you the first few lines if you'd like.
Please.
Hold on. It's not very professional, is it? I should have had it on hand. Okay, so get to chapter 1. Chapter 1's entitled Trying to Make Sense.